Hello and welcome to today's webinar, which is focused on Safetica 8.3, and we will be talking about content. I am Vítě Janeček and I am today's host and presenter. I am doing product management here in Safetica. And today I am joined by my colleague, Jan.
Hello everyone, I'm Jan. I'm also a product manager here responsible for the core DLP part, and I'll be presenting some parts of the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Jan. So before we will start with today's presentation, let's get a little bit understanding what we'll be talking about and some rules about today's webinar. So as you can see, we have a couple of topics for today's webinar. We will be talking about new content capabilities, about improved web and application control, and some couple of other improvements. We will also take a sneak look into the roadmap, and we will also answer your questions. I am expecting that that today's webinar will take something between 30 to 40 minutes, and I think that's pretty much it. We can start with first topic. Jan, please go ahead.
Today I would like to introduce one of the big features that we are bringing in Safetica 8.3. And this feature is something that we've heard a lot about in the past, and we have been working on it quietly. And as you know, we started out as a contextual DLP, which was protecting files using contextual rules. And if you've been with us for some time, you noticed that in the last few months we added several features which use some content detection. And that was basically the first phase. And the second phase is actually bringing content awareness into our core DLP. And that's what we are introducing in Safetica 8.3. So as you can see on the screen, there are actually two new approaches which you can use to protect your files with Safetica. So the first one, which is not on the screen, is the old contextual approach. It's still suitable for many use cases, but we've heard that a lot of people don't want to overcomplicate DLPs and they want to use simple content rules to find important or sensitive data, or to comply with regulatory compliance. And for these use cases, we actually brought the first new approach, the dynamic detection of file content, which enables you to detect content inside data as you are working with them, as you are sending them out of the endpoint. And the second approach, suitable for larger companies, which already have a data classification system in place. Let's say you are a big company, you already have a system and a process for classifying your data, and you simply want to protect these data which are already labeled, let's say, as internal or sensitive or financial, etc. So for these use cases, the second approach is even more suitable. And bringing these two new types of DLP into the product, we refined the user flow that you need to follow in order to set up the DLP. And the little instruction that you can see on the slide is actually something we've been talking about for a long time, but now you are really able to simply set up a discovery of your sensitive files. Then after the discovery, you can set up alerts. And following the alerts, you can decide to protect, restrict, or block some user actions done with your sensitive data. So this is just a little introduction before we get started. And now just allow me to switch into the virtual machine that we have set up. So just give me a second. All right. So I hope you can still follow me well on the screen. I will try to be slower so that you can follow my steps. And I will show you how the new DLP is working, and after that I will bring you back into the Safetica console, where I will just quickly show you how you can set up the new features and how you can get started with testing or trying out the new way of DLP. So I've prepared some test files which will demonstrate how the DLP is working. And if I just ignore these various folders which I've named, I'll just go to the sensitive folder where I have prepared some sample files. So let's say I open this personal information Word document, which includes some sensitive files. And you can see that I've just opened the document. I have my Word window open, and you can immediately see that after opening, my Word has been restricted, and there are some restrictions applied to the document. So you can see that there is data transfer restricted on this file because it contains some data category which is marked as sensitive. So this means that I cannot transfer these data, I cannot email this file, I cannot upload it, even screenshots are restricted here, so my whole document is protected. Very simply, the DLP is behaving in a similar fashion. If I just switch here to the browser, in my browser I've prepared file sharing web, where I will try to upload my file. So I have my sensitive file here, and I'll just simply drag and drop it into the browser. Okay, I'll have to do that more specifically into the little drag and drop area within the site. So you can see I've dragged it here. I'll try to send the file, and you can see that I got a notification that my file actually contains some sensitive content, and uploading to it is not really secure. I still get a chance to decide whether I want to upload it or not, because that's my sensitivity level set up. But if I decide, okay, this might be sensitive, maybe uploading is not a good idea, I'll just simply cancel it, and you can see that the upload has been cancelled. So this is how the actual DLP is behaving. I'll just try to open different files marked with the same sensitivity level. So let's say I have a spreadsheet with some credit card numbers here. Again, I open my Excel application, and you can see that it has been restricted once I opened it. Because Safetica detected there is sensitive content inside, and my application is restricted here. If I open the third file just to show you on the very same thing, again, I have some national identification numbers from UK copied here. And again, my notepad file was restricted as well. So I'm unable to screenshot, I'm unable to do other things with this document. Some of these features might be familiar to you because we introduced some content detection and some content DLP features previously. But here we are really working with the core DLP, which is part of Safetica, and you will find it along with the old or older contextual files and contextual data categories. So if I just quickly show you how you can set this all up in the console, if you go in DLP, here we added a new section which was formerly called file tagging, but now it's more about data identification. That's why we renamed it to data categories. And if I just switch back to the settings view, you can see that I already have several layers of data categorized into 5 various levels. So you can see I have some intranet data which are actually a context rule. So if I just click here, you can see that these data are not really identified by content, but by the, let's say, old way. So when I download something from my Safetica intranet, it will automatically be tagged as an intranet download. Again, I have an internal level, which I actually set up as files which contain the word internal or files containing the word Safetica. So all these files will be classified as internal. Then I have the sensitive level, which you've seen previously in my sensitive folder. And then I have my strictest type of data, which is actually called confidential. Alongside these, I have another level, which is actually here called classified partner data. So imagine this as a different company which I'm collaborating with, and we are sharing documents. The other company has a classification system in place, so they are actually labeling their documents as sensitive, internal, financial, confidential, etc. So I can easily set this up within my own company, and I will just detect that there is a document with a classification system in it, and it should be protected in a certain way. So for instance, if I choose a confidential file, there are some keywords which I'm looking for, and these are my confidential files. But here with the classified data, I simply set up a very simple, in this case it's a very simple setting for all files classified with Azure Information Protection labeling. And using this very simple classification, I'm able to detect a third-party classification. So I also prepared a file with this. So you can see if I open this document here, it doesn't really contain anything sensitive. However, if I go here, you can see that there has been a data category called classified partner data detected in this. So this is how you define the data category. And if I just quickly switch here to the second part of the DLP system, which is called DLP rules, you can see I have some rules set up with my existing data categories. So this is all I had to do. There is no channel control set up in my setup. There are no other options turned from the DLP module. Everything which you've seen so far has been set up using these two parts of the DLP, the data categories and the DLP rules. So just to quickly show you how easy it is to set it up, I actually have been playing with this for a while, and I discovered that I can set up a new data category and protect it within a single minute. However, I'll go a little slower just to show you how you do it step by step. So first step is creating a new data category, which I will leave. Now I can choose different types of data categories. This is the context data category type, the existing classification, or the sensitive content, which can be social security numbers, credit card numbers, etc. And I simply name my category. In this case, I will call it test. So I have my data category now created, and I'll configure it. And I can choose different words or different expressions, keywords, regular expressions to be found within this data category. So let's say I want to protect bank account numbers and credit card numbers. I'll just confirm it. And once I save it, my data category is created. There is an optional step I can take at this very moment, and that's setting up a discovery task. When you are defining your data, sometimes you want to make sure that your definition is correct, it's accurate, and that you will find the correct data and files. And for this, you can very easily, with this new version, you can very easily run a discovery task. So let's try it. I'll just hit the run discovery task. I will call it test task. And I'll select the objects which I want to task to be run on. In this case, I will run it in my entire environment. So I set it up. I will choose the file path where I will look for the data. So I will search through the entire C drive, and I will search for spreadsheet files, presentation files, text files, because these are the usual types of text data that you have in the company. So I selected these, and I click Finish, and I confirm it with the final button. With this, I have run a task which will run across my entire environment, and it will look through specific endpoints, and I will see where my sensitive data, which I described in the first step, where these are located. So if I switch to the visualization mode, you can see that for my test data category, I have a test task scheduled. It hasn't run so far, but I would find the results here. I would see the specific endpoints or nodes and see all the files which matched the described criteria, in this case the credit card numbers or the bank account numbers. So this was the first step. I defined what the sensitive data which are important to me are. I run my discovery task just to make sure that I know what I'm restricting in the next step. And of course, what I can do is move this test data category within my existing system so that I actually tell my system, okay, this test category is more important than internal, it's more important than intranet data, so I will place it here, let's say. I confirm my selection, and then I move to the DLP rules. I create a new rule for the new data category, and this will be a very brisk task, so try to follow me. So I'll just choose my test data category, and in the second step I need to set up a security policy. So I create a new one here. I'll call it test policy, and I set it up. Let's say I want to deny printing, I want to deny upload, deny, or maybe email, I won't deny, I'll just notify it. Screenshots, I don't really care about. Maybe clipboard might be dangerous. I don't want these files to be copied into different applications, so I'll deny this too. And virtual print might be dangerous, so I don't really want my employees to create copies of PDF copies of my documents, so I'll just deny it like that. I hit finish. I choose the test policy, confirm it, and again, the more familiar of you with Safetica will know that I can choose the policy mode, which I will set to restrictive, and I hit finish. And with this, of course, confirming my choices, I simply set up the whole protection. Now, in a matter of minutes, my clients across the whole environment will receive these new setup, and my files will be really protected and restricted. And again, as you've seen in the demonstration, they will be dynamically protected depending on what they actually include. So one more thing to note here is that we are not really using any special tags that we connect to the files. The files are really scanned when the user is working with them, and they are restricted when needed. The user is notified when needed, and the files are protected when they contain sensitive information. There are a lot more scenarios which I could describe, but this is the basis of this new feature. We are very, very happy with it, and it's been in preparation for a long time. And we've spoken to a lot of customers and partners about it. So I'm sure that you have a lot of questions. So I won't really go through all these sample files which I've prepared. So for the presentation or the demonstration of the new content DLP, this has been it. So I'll just skip through these demonstration slides, and I give back the word to Vítě.
Thank you, Jan. So just to recap, we are still providing already existing context protection. We are adding content dynamic protection and also third-party categorization. We will move to second part, which is web and application control reinvented. So you might be already aware that web control and app control are existing in Safetica. These are most commonly used to prevent running dangerous applications, which might be possible source of malware introduction or a way how data can leak from a company. Web control is used in a similar fashion to prevent employees visiting risky pages, web pages, which again introduce malware and are way how data can leak through different channels. So this is one of our most commonly used functionalities, and based on this we have decided that we will reinvent how this functionality is managed in Safetica, and I'm going to show you new and easy way how you can manage restrictions to applications and websites. We have been focusing on reducing the time to restrict content and applications. At the same time, we were trying to keep the level of restrictions, so you can restrict content based on existing categories such as website categories or application categories, or you can choose to restrict individual websites or individual applications. And this level of approach goes to whom is a restriction applied. You can still apply restrictions to all company, to all departments or individuals when the need arises. So this has been our main focus, to provide you clean and easy way how you can restrict websites and applications. Now I will try to switch into demo environment, and I will try to give you presentation of how does it work. So I will switch to our new web console, and this is where you can locate the functionality. You might be already aware with Safetica console, which is alternative to desktop Safetica management console, and new website and applications policies are located right here under policies in websites and applications. So this is how does it look like when you update to new version 8.3. At first you need to enable this module in a Web Safetica, because you can switch between a Web Safetica and Safetica management console. At this moment I will enable application and web policies in Web Safetica, and I will use default template, so I will not redirect blocked visitors to any other website. I'm also able to import my existing policies from Safetica management console, and I will skip this at this moment as well. So as you can see, you can use one predefined policy, which we commonly see in our customers' environment. Usually you would like to block illegal or malware websites, and you would like to apply this to whole company. So now you already see that the UI is streamlined and easy to understand. At this level, we are managing policies, and if I will go into detail, I'm managing details of the policy by defining to whom is it applied and rules inside. So let's go into more details. I will turn on this policy. I will keep it applied to all company, and I will keep all recommended rules. I will perhaps add one more rule. As you can see, I can define restricted or allowed content on categories or websites. So for example, I would like to block Facebook, and easy as that, Facebook has been added as a rule within this policy. Now Facebook is the first rule which will be checked within this policy, and if anyone from our company will visit Facebook, it will be blocked. In similar fashion, you can create new policies. So for example, I can create different policies for different departments, and I can specify which department will be policy applied to. Also, I can select different categories or specify different websites. So just to give you an example, this is how you modify policies by adding rules within. You don't only need to block websites. You can also allow that some content is, for example, allowed. For example, for marketing department, you might allow social networks and other leisure websites which might be useful for that department. So in this fashion, you can create policies, and within policies you can create rules specifying which content is available. By dragging and dropping, you are changing the priority of the policies. So first policy which will be matched will be applied. So this will be first policy which will be evaluated, and again, if anyone from company will visit Facebook, the policy will be applied and system will stop. So at this moment I would like to try if policies are working, and since I am a member of this company, I will try to access Facebook and I will see that content is blocked and policies are working. I will be also easily change. I will be able to change the rules within the policy as well. So I think that I don't need to explain web control or web policies and application policies in more detail, because you might be already aware of how does this system work in a Safetica management console. As you can see, we have been really trying to improve how easy is to use, and if you learn system in website policies, the same applies in application policies. So exactly same you can see here. There are some recommended securities, and by dragging, dropping, you can change policy, and you can allow or deny content within. So from my side, this is everything for a website and application policies. Let's get back to our presentation. If you will have any questions, we will answer them later. I will skip screenshots here, and let's see what are other improvements in version 8.3.
It's Jan here again. There are a lot of other improvements which we've included in version 8.3. You can see the highlights on the slide at the moment. I won't really comment on all of them. However, I want to stress that really context DLP is something that we are keeping. We are introducing content DLP capabilities, but the context approach is still valid and very useful in some cases. And we even included some improvements here because we've heard a lot about issues when you are setting up a very restrictive DLP, and it might sometimes restrict your users more than you would like. For instance, when copying content from a restricted application or from a restricted website, you might accidentally spread the restrictions to other unexpected or unwanted parts of your station. So we included some new settings which can help with this. You will have to explore the products, or we might come back to this after we are done with the presentation, but there are new settings for context DLP too. So if you are still sticking to the old way of DLP, there are some improvements there too. And another thing that I would like to highlight is that for content-aware features, wherever they can be found in the product, we've included threshold settings. Thresholds are setting for detecting content only when it occurs certain times in a document. So let's say I don't want to protect every credit card number I find, but documents with more than 10 credit card numbers are important to me. Then I can set it up in a way that only 10 or more credit card numbers are protected. So there are some improvements also for content features which have been introduced in the past. There are some more things that you can see on the slide. Maybe I would also just warn you that we've seen the new web and application controls on the screen. They are available in Web Safetica, and you can still use the old ones available in the Safetica management console on your desktops. However, there have been some changes there, and few options have been discontinued. We verified these with customers, and we've seen that they haven't been used too much, so we removed them. But we will be welcoming any feedback that you have on these options, And if you like the new Web Safetica app and web controls, we will be also happy to hear about that. So I think we can move on from these improvements. If you have questions to the other topics, you can ask in the questions.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to roadmap. I think this part is also very interesting for you. So let's see what we are working on and what we are preparing for upcoming versions. As you might already understand, simplification of data protection is one of our priorities across many versions, and we are going to continue with that. So we will focus on further DLP simplification, and we will also improve how you can actually protect content in other scenarios. We are also working and we are planning to extend and improve data protection and audit capabilities for Microsoft Exchange, Office 365 and SharePoint. This is one of most commonly requested features, so we are working already on that, and you can expect some improvements in this as well. Auditing scenarios is another very important part for us, and we would like to help you comply with regulatory requests by providing you templates which will give you easy way how to meet this criteria. The way how Safetica is deployed and how scalable it is another topic which we are already focusing on, and we would like to move towards hybrid environment. At this moment, it is in early research. We are doing some tests on this, but this is in our focus as well. Another part I would like to mention here is that we would like to give you easy and clear way how you can manage incidents in the environment, so that you can understand what are the most important things you need to focus on, and that your administrator can fix these issues immediately. And finally, we are working on other platforms as well. So we would like to provide security audit for first customers as soon as possible. And we are working on this already. So security audit for Mac platform is on the way as well. Finally, I would like to thank you for joining us today. This is really everything from us. I hope that you enjoyed the webinar with us. Thank you for attending this webinar, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Have a nice rest of the day.